Happy holiday hump day, everybody. I am Matt Stoner here with Max Rice and Stephen Anthony Lawrence. Today we are going to be talking about respecting our Securitai. We have an entire, for the most part, an entire episode on election, or not election security, on national security. We are going to start out with the SolarWinds hack, Russia hacking of the data management system. We're talking about Southern California, its lack of COVID ICU beds, as well as the management, or the recent developments on the COVID vaccine. We are talking about the very recently passed COVID relief bill, finally, the littlest bit of relief that are coming to the American people. And then we're going to be talking about Trump's possible prosecution upon leaving office. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and start off with what should have been old news, but given that we just figured it out, the SolarWinds hack. So for those of you that don't know, SolarWinds is a data management company that runs a platform called Orion. Orion has about 300,000 users, including the State Department, the Secretary of Commerce, Treasury, and Homeland Security, the National Institute of Health, the City of Austin, Texas, and Microsoft. About 18,000 of the 300,000 members were hacked by Russia through a backdoor system that was downloaded as a software update, and we are just now figuring this out. Allegedly, it happened sometime in February or March, and there's a lot of concern over what kind of data was.
To be a Zuckerberg, but is it confirmed that it's Russia? Or are we just saying that because
I think it was confirmed that it's Russia.
It's confirmed by
who? Man, when the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and all
says that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, they have weapons of mass destruction.
Oh no! Well, this isn't that, man. You know,
but Dick Cheney's nowhere to be found.
It's definitely not China. There's no chance. So for sure, it's Russia. No chance.
Well, no, the crazy thing is now that
I will say, because there was a hack in February that actually shut down natural gas pipelines. They wouldn't tell us which ones for national security reasons, and that was for sure Russia, because Russia is or that probably was Russia. I won't even say for sure. You can never be for sure, but because Russia is the number one owner of natural gas reserves. But this one, every time we just scream Russia, 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 I'm like, what the? Come on, let's. Well,
it's obvious though, dude. When literally, all of our intelligence agencies, are saying the same damn thing. It's obvious
that they're lying every time. No, anytime they say that all 17 crap, I'm like, why do we have 17 intelligence agencies? And they all said that Trump was getting peed on by Russian prostitutes, and that Iraq had WMDs.
Let's be real, Trump was probably getting peed on. There's only one reason that his skin is consistently that orange.
By American porn stars, Stormy Daniels.
That is a great point there, Matt. Very good point.
Yeah, and I will at least we all can agree that hacking is a problem now, so that's true. Do you guys now does this kind of but with electronic voting?
Well, no.
They can,
that's the thing is, but this was ultimately traced, and it's interesting that you brought up voting too, because literally, right before we were shooting the episode, I got into a Facebook argument with a woman who's going, "Oh, well, I found out that one of the election systems was using SolarWinds." I was like, "What do you mean using SolarWinds? SolarWinds is a data management system. They have products. Which product were they using?" And they couldn't tell me. It's very interesting that people are so quick to scream, and I'm not saying that this is you, Max, but people are so quick to scream, hacking and fraud and all this other shit, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Sorry, YouTube algorithm for,
Yeah, wow, I'm melting. Oops. You swore. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, but even on so on a best case scenario.
Show.
Yeah.
We're allowed to say one F.
But on a best case scenario, I will say just across the board, people that earn government contracts aren't necessarily the most qualified. A lot of times they're foreign companies. If you guys remember with the healthcare.gov rollout, we spent Remember when we spent $2 billion on a website that
a little bit of nepotism in the Trump administration.
No, that was Obama. It's Trump.
Happen.
Yeah, but Trump, Obama, Bush with Halliburton, it's just kind of a trend that if you pay money, you're going to get those government contracts, and so.
Well, it's what was the movie about the two kids that were gun runners?
Oh, great movie, War Dogs.
War Dogs.
That's a little bit different because I dabble in trying to get government contracts, and one thing I've noticed that's just absolutely ridiculous is they now don't necessarily look at your the price and if you'll deliver it, but they'll give you a respect score, and that's just that's very suspect.
It's also when you're paying something like $90 for a screw, and you're like, yeah, that's totally reasonable. That's the thing is, I am very much on the liberal side of things. I do think that taxes should be utilized to pay for certain things, and that we should be able to support people if they need it. But the way that our money is distributed is so irresponsible, and there's so little oversight that it's like I walked away from the Democratic Party because they like were screwing up just as bad as everybody else. So that's but that's one of the questions here is should there be punitive damages for companies like this?
Yeah, just real quickly, I want to go into like Catch-22 because it's kind of interesting that like right now, if you're in a government agency and you underspend, like you go under budget, do a good job, you get penalized. They're going to cut your budget the next year. And so that's why you're seeing all these like crazy, like retreats in Las Vegas, whatever, is because there's actually an incentive to go in the other direction. And so it's like...
So we should all become government contractors.
But also
especially right now with Democrats, because, during a pandemic, nobody's really going to want to implement any new taxes when, when unemployment is through the roof. Republicans should really be killing this time. And yet what's happening? A mass rejection of Trumpism, because what we're seeing isn't even conservatism. Nixon,
that's
for all his faults, man, he, campaigned for universal health care. He started the EPA.
He wanted UBI. He wanted to do a trial on universal basic income.
Bring back Andrew Yang. Bring back Andrew Yang.
Yeah, well, the thing about Nixon is now confirmed that he was a drug addict, like many of our past presidents. And so
Trump probably is.
He's definitely on Adderall or something like that.
He's definitely on it.
They saw
I don't know, his
picture.
eyes look totally normal.
Yeah. But regardless, back to Nixon. So Nixon was a drug head, and so it makes sense that he just randomly would be like, you know what, we gotta give people $1,000 a day. That's what we gotta do. You know what? Create the EPA. And then forget about it. What? I woke up in China? That's what, The Hangover 2 is just really based on Nixon.
Hangover 4, Nixon.
Nixon.
What flashed the past.
Just what?
Well, no, so one of the major questions is...
Not the lady boy.
Oh, those tapes are terrible. If you ever heard the Nixon tapes, we'll get kicked off YouTube.
We'll do an entire episode on that. We'll just play everything straight through. No, so that's one of the major questions is whether or not there should be punitive damages against the people that should have been watching this, and also why it took so long for this to happen. It was caught by a company called FireEye. FireEye, of course, is one of the clients that had that was using the Orion management system, and it's sort of we had a very poor response, first of all, to what happened in the first place. We still do not have all of the information. Even Microsoft is coming out and saying that we have like 9% of what we think the information is, and we're still looking for 90% of what is actually going on here. Should there be punitive damages for a company like SolarWinds, or is this something that just kind of is par for the course at this point, being in a technological age that we're in?
We should work with them.
There needs to be regulations, man. There needs to be regulations, and it has to be some type of oversight and password change. You got to change your password at least once. If you run a $1 billion company, maybe changing your password once a week or updating your shit, it would be a good idea.
I think it's beyond that. I think it's like 8% of all everything downloaded on the internet is malware. So they're just everyone's being attacked from so many different angles, and it's kind of once again, I'm on the conservative side, but we did make a lot of spending cuts in Obama and in Trump on cybersecurity, protecting on that. And it's also weird because it's at the same time that industry, if you're a software engineer, you don't need a college degree, and you can be making $100 an hour. And there's such a demand for those skill sets right now because everyone is online or on apps, but only 1% of America knows HTML. And so it's hard for the government to spend on people without degrees.
That's the future of warfare. That is frankly going to be the future of warfare.
Besides space war.
It's not going to be. It is. It's not going to be bombs, missiles, planes, trains, and automobiles. It's going to be,
That's what space war is about. By the way, is Space Force to a degree is a lot about satellites, but that would be cool.
We will have a Death Star.
We'll build a wall on the Death Star. We got to keep the
already exists.
Ewoks out.
That's where Biden was hiding during the election. He's working with Trump, and he's up there. He's building the Death Star.
He's in Antarctica.
It just makes total sense.
There's conspiracies on that. Have you guys ever seen those conspiracies on Antarctica? That there's secretly bases down there.
It wouldn't surprise me, but also
quality.
That's something that'll teach you that not all wars are fought over resources, though.
All of the best things come from YouTube. So, speaking of resources, this is a really great...
Beans, they are all fought over resources.
Really? Antarctica had, sealed blubber and snow.
Yeah.
Ice.
Literally.
Hey,
They all get along.
No
you know they actually
Next-
all get along. The Antarctica.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, they've had
The
a couple
Inuit
wars.
tribes?
No, they
They've had a
haven't. No one
couple
lives in Antarctica. It's just scientists, and they all get along.
Those seals are fighting.
No, the seals. You meant the actual seals, not the Navy SEALs.
SEALs versus Navy SEALs, and
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
But I think there's like 20
well, so
countries of
that's-
scientists that have a treaty down there.
Next time there's a drought, we just got to go down there. California steals all of the ice. We melt it and we make water. Like that's the solution to the California drought. Speaking of California droughts, California also is experiencing what is now determined to be the worst outburst of COVID-19 in the world and at this point in history. We are now down to 0 ICU beds available. We are going into the Christmas holiday this week. And we are just now rolling out the vaccine, which is starting to look like an incredible thing, but we are screwed, for lack of a better phrase. Gentlemen, what is to blame for this? You know, Gavin Newsom, of course, has done quite a bit of what he can to try and shut things down. He's not necessarily following these rules himself, which get a little bit frustrating when you're trying to get people to follow these things. But what can we do from this point forward, and how should we be responding both as a populace as well as a government?
Yeah, it is weird to kind of having a political debate about people dying. So if you're in the ICU right now or have family, yeah, this is separate from that. We're talking, like, honestly, hearts out to you. But, like, all jokes aside, like, that's what happens when you have Republicans running cities and states. That's what happens. When you have...
It is. You know, that's what happens when you... that's what happens when you politicize, you know...
no, true. Yeah.
You know...
You shouldn't politicize it, but their policies suck. Like Newsom and because they kind of like destroy people economically, and then I think when you
this is also what happens when you disband a pandemic response team about a year before a big old pandemic hits.
You know, I'm sorry to politicize it.
It's basic.
Yeah.
It's basic cause and effect. You know
But that's why South Dakota's rates are going up right now, or North Dakota.
That's why everybody's rates are going up right now. Plus, they're saying that this new strain of the virus that, is in UK, which already amazing to me, right? Just about every other country shut off travel from the UK to their country, and yet America still refuses to ban travel.
Fauci, your guy Fauci. Fauci goes,
coming in.
You know what I hear Fauci said? He's like, oh, we don't want to be, he goes, that's too draconian. The super virus is probably already here.
But when it comes from China or, a country that has, brown people, it's totally fine. Let's just get that, fair. Let's just get that straight.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't think the super virus has also been proven yet. Because, like, there's kind of, like, the 70% number, that just kind of is like, where the fuck did that, where did that 70% come from? Like, in RiseNet, is it 69.8? Is it 70.2? Like, is 70% more affected than just...
Well, it's already...
It probably is here.
It's more contagious. They know it's more contagious, It's insane.
Well, Fauci says it's here, and the basketball season's starting, so maybe he'll take the first shot at a game.
There we go.
We continue to be
that'll solve everything. And as soon as the ball is, I love that people are going, okay, well, after the election is over, COVID's going to go away. And when this happens, COVID's going to go away. So the newest one, and this is totally 100% real, as soon as Fauci sinks a three-pointer, COVID goes away.
Oh, that will never go away.
It's real.
That dude, that guy can't throw a ball 5 feet. Did you guys
It's
see
here
that
forever.
pitch? No chance. And he's 79. He's
We
not,
got
we don't get better
Shaq.
athletically.
He can throw it under, though, so he can go like this. He can lob the ball. It's going to be totally fine.
At
And then
3
COVID's
point,
going to
you
be
can't
over.
do
It's
it.
great.
I can't even do an underhanded 3. Can you guys? Like, that's tough. Like, yeah, we're
I don't know.
we're
We'll have
done.
to do that. That'll be a
If
challenge
that's the-
one of these
that's the
days.
test.
We'll all get the three of us together and we'll just like underhand it. No, but I mean, it is a really scary
what
thought.
They say,
but- yeah.
Kobe, when you yell out Kobe, it's for precision. When you yell out Yeet, it's for strength and distance.
And when you yell out
he
Shaq,
can only
you
do
miss.
Kobe because he can't go for 5 feet. Yeah, Shaq.
So
he do a block.
Shaq.
Michael
no,
when he
but
was
it does-
real clutch because Kobe, rest in peace, wasn't as clutch as Michael.
We are lucky though that we
Too
sort of have some.
Too soon.
I'm going to cut this one as
6-0.
quick as possible.
This is even more divisive than politics. Chicago and LA. But no, yeah. Sorry to take a dig at because like once again, it is so weird to talk about to have political takes on people in the hospital. Because I just remember, like, with my Fox and Friends experience, like, part of the reason why I hated Fox and Friends so much is my grandpa was in the hospital in Texas, and they would play that crap all the time. And they would talk about, like, healthcare, and just them talking about politics kind of angered me. Didn't even matter if I agreed or disagreed, but...
Well, it's the whole thing. The whole thing has been politicized since the beginning, and I can blame both sides for this. It is really difficult. I get it. It happened to happen, during an election year. Both sides politicized things. Things like mask wearing became politicized. But unfortunately, because of that, we're looking at over 300,000 dead Americans. I had a conversation with one of my father's friends as well, and I said, how can you justify this? He goes, so what? It's like, you're going to justify your side. Unfortunately, because we've politicized this, we have seemed to forget the human toll and the human nature of what happens. Luckily, we do have some hope on the horizon.
I don't think it was completely Republicans that politicized it. Because there was a lot of just like, it was both sides. It was just terrible. Yeah. Both
sides tries to use it to political advantage. I don't think it's happening in terms of like shutting stuff down. I do think that is necessary, and they are following what doctors say, all those liberal doctors. But it's good that we sort of have a level of hope. So we have both the COVID vaccine, which we need to talk about side effects because people seem to not quite get the facts on that straight. And then also the COVID relief bill that was just passed, which is sort of the one of the highest search things on Google is and I don't know if this is true or if it's a joke, but like how to build a guillotine for $600, which is like pretty incredible.
What's crazy? That bill was it was 5,530 pages, and the U.S. Constitution's like a little 40, 50 like range, including the amendments, and the amendments came over time, unfortunately. And so why the hell is this bill more than 100 times longer than the U.S. Constitution? And like I feel bad, I feel bad with people with AIDS. I feel bad with people in struggling countries. But why are we? I think there was money in there for like people with AIDS to get driver's licenses and like $1.2 billion to Egypt, and just like I feel for all these countries, but like come on,
but not right now.
Yeah, what was this a year ago?
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm about to say this.
Dude,
America first.
Most of
yeah,
dude, it is. Yeah. It's true though. I'm sorry to think about it, but yeah, the vast majority of Americans don't give two shits about what's going on in Egypt.
And Republicans had to pass this crap too, so this is not political. Like fuck F them.
They care about how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to keep a roof over my head? How am I going to put my kids through college, or if the college will even be open in these crazy.
Yeah, it's like you're on a plane that's crashing and you're like on eBay, like bidding on crap, or just like.
Well, that's it's the things that they were putting money towards. I mean, that's great. Bailing out the airline industry is an amazing thing. United announced that they're going to be bringing back. I want to say 28,000 jobs. They're going to be bringing back between now February and March. They're not expecting any sort of difference in travel, but they're still going to be paying people, and they're bringing back as many people as they can. There's going to be bailouts for the entertainment industry, for private theaters, or independent theaters, as well as music venues. But $600? Like, I get it. It's a little bit, it's going to help people, but $600? After everything that happened, it's
how many people that are out there have the same reaction to me of just like anger and just like F you, and then just okay, I'm gonna take the 600,
yeah, well, I'm gonna take it for sure. But it's like, okay, so
it's a huge slap in the face. It's a huge slap in the face.
I read something really great where they basically said, like, when I was a kid, I learned that leaving a quarter as a tip is probably more offensive than not leaving a tip at all, because you could leave somebody no tip and have a justifiable reason, but leaving a quarter as a tip is basically screw you, we don't want to. That's what this is. They have every ability and every opportunity to help the American people, and they are refusing to do so. And that comes on both sides. Nancy Pelosi failed.
Matt, we're taking the 600. We're taking the 600.
Oh, I'm taking the 600.
Please.
And I'm going to build a guillotine with it. I'm Googling, hey, how...
What's infuriating to people... No, what's really infuriating to people is these people got paid $130,000 over this last 9 months to argue if we get 600 frickin' bucks.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people want the vaccine. So we've argued about the vaccine before. A lot of people want the vaccine, but all these jerk-offs got the vaccine first, too. And
Marco
they got their
Rubio,
money, and their job security.
Marco Rubio is first in line, standing there, getting it on television. He has been speaking at events, super spreader events, at least 24 of them, not wearing a mask, going to these massive things, saying that it's not serious, and he's the first person to get the vaccine. It's crazy, and
AOC
that's another
she's like
thing.
the least at risk.
Yeah,
And she
Well,
doesn't
that's,
super
it's
spread.
amazing that
So
it goes to
allegedly.
them. We have 1.8 million, and we're getting, frontline workers aren't getting it. And that does sort of bring us to the effectiveness and the safety of the vaccine. Pfizer's is coming out,
Biden, I'm
Moderna's
glad he
is just
got it,
approved. Yeah,
Because Biden,
I mean,
he's like
it's-
a domino. Like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might sneeze and
well, it'll be
it's
interesting
over.
to see what happens. But I think we do need to address one of the elephants in the room, which is the side effects of the vaccine. I don't know if anybody follows our social media or Beans, but we did make sort of an interesting social post earlier, sort of poking fun at the Bell's palsy
You
issue.
did. I didn't.
I don't know if we may have actually posted it. I don't know, but it's interesting because people seem to not.
Oh, I posted it,
People
for
seem
sure.
to not be doing the research on their own. So I know that there's a lot of concern out there. A lot of you, if you've watched our show before, you know that I'm vaccinated. I was part of a stage 1 trial from a company out of San Francisco called Vaxart. I took the pill form of the vaccine. I didn't have any side effects. I was really lucky in that. But unfortunately, people are afraid now that something like Bell's palsy is going to happen. If you look at the statistical numbers of what happens in Bell's palsy in any
So
given
you got the
year,
RC Cola vaccines? You didn't get.
I got the RC Cola of vaccines, and
You
not
didn't
only
get
that, they
Moderna
only
or
gave us
Pfizer?
they only gave
Wow.
us half a bottle
Good
of it.
luck.
No, they messed up the trial. They didn't finish it. They ended it
know,
early. It
Yeah.
was terrible.
They blue vaccines you.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of people afraid of things like the Bell's palsy thing, and I'm encouraging you to do your own research, to look into things on their own. All of the
On YouTube.
ingredients are
On
available
YouTube,
online. Yes,
Infowars.com.
only on YouTube. No, don't. It's so generally like Bell's
Yeah.
palsy in particular, 15 to 30 cases
YouTube
per
is great,
100,000
though.
people per year. It is. But the number of people that got Bell's palsy
I think media
from a
literacy is
statistical standpoint are
important,
exactly the same. So yeah, that's the thing. Media literacy is important. Make sure that you are holding the media accountable because there's so much scare news and scare tactics out there, and they're trying to say, well, what if it was caused by this? But if you look at the actual numbers outside of it, it's insignificant and impossible, and just the normal amount of people from that group that would have gotten Bell's
How many
palsy.
adults Dude, honestly, I can't believe how many adults in a week I have to tell that Wikipedia is not a credible.
Well, no, it's media literacy. No, I disagree.
It's
Because
mind-boggling.
Wikipedia is that's usually we're on a new topic. I like to start Wikipedia. You got to look at the references. That's where people mess up. Because Wikipedia, the pages are someone random could sway it, but Wikipedias are a good place to only go for external links. That's my really check it out, man.
Stay off.
It's
of
it's a good springboard because it's all about cross referencing. And Wikipedia races are fun, yeah, obviously. But is something wrong on your page, Steven? Is something wrong on your page? Is there some?
Millions of there's tons of shit wrong on my page, and that's just it because anybody can go in and say anything about anyone.
Because he's
there's
obviously
there's no oversight.
Yeah. So what is the favorite thing on your Wikipedia page that's wrong?
Oh God, probably I have no idea, dude. Honestly,
I knew this was
I don't
personal.
know, but that's just it. I'm sure there's something on there, but nah, it's just
I'm innocent. I was in jail. I did not go to prison. No, I'm kidding.
in the
I did not.
no, in the the era of fake news and all this garbage. It does.
Yeah. Well, I'm just mad I'm not on
absolutely. Well-
Wikipedia. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing. Like you were talking about before, doing acting classes and the QAnon
Not
people
yet.
eating the babies and all this other shit. It's just guys, what happened to critical thought?
Yeah, media literacy. Honestly, that should be taught in school. Because even with statistics, it's because on both sides. Because I see a lot of people posting just memes with numbers in them, and I'm like, why isn't this clickable? Why isn't this anything cited? If you just see I can go on Excel right now and say that 5 people died of COVID and be like, see, show proof. COVID's fake.
Well, that's the thing is
Only
you need
5
to look at it yourself. That's
You
the
do.
problem is we've come
And
to
then
a
what's
place of
behind
laziness
it,
where it's
'cause I will say because there's an
Yeah.
airline study because a lot of people are citing that planes are safe to travel. In my personal experience, and I was on American, it was not that safe. I was in the middle seat. I was within spitting distance of a lot of people. It is what it is. But my point is, a lot of people cite this study about airlines being safe to travel. And if you, I checked out the study, and it turns out it was paid for by an airline industry group union. And so it's important to kind of be critical. And they make a very favorable assumption. And the big assumption is to say, if all protocols are followed. And that's a big if.
well, that's that's
Yeah,
also
human nature.
they're kind of lying about that. They say, okay, well, we've installed HIPAA filters in all of our planes. I can't tell you who, but I do know an executive at Boeing who basically said that's bullshit. It's not actually happening. It's going to be too expensive to do that. None of the airlines are actually putting HIPAA filters in. And, they're going to tell you that they are. And that's the same thing. If you are following these protocols, yes, it's going to be perfectly safe. But you're not following these protocols. So obviously it's not going to be safe. It's
we need to clip this. I've been yelled at by so much about because I personally tell people that are going out of town, I'm like, hey, just be careful. And they're like, oh, the filters, the filtration, magic. And I'm like, you're within spitting distance of 6 people. And then there's also like the how you get to and from the airport and the airport itself. And the fact that you're in another
unless they're
city.
sucking so much air through, like you'd be like sucked to the wall. If the filters were strong enough that like particulates could not sit there for that period of time, like it's common sense. But people just I had to travel though. They want to hear it. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to our last one.
My grandma's a subscriber to the show, so I had to visit her, and that's what we do to subscribe to the show. We will put our life on the line for you.
Yeah, put our lives on the line.
Beans will fly out to Antarctica.
Subscribe. Box right here.
And like.
Subscribe
share
now.
Everything. We'll do it.
I'm just going to keep sitting like this, and hopefully we have a subscribe box here. If we don't, I'm going to look real weird.
And we have an Instagram.
Anyways, moving on to our fourth topic of the...
Do it for the gram.
Or not. Do it for the gram. Yeah, Rice and Bean Show is our Instagram. And by this time next week, or by now, technically, we'll have a LinkedIn page. We will have a Twitter page. We will have a Facebook page. And we will be on Reddit. Links here.
Official.
The links probably are not here, but if you look down, we will post the links down in the description. Speaking of descriptions, no, I don't. There's no segue there. I can't do that. It doesn't work. So, Trump. Do we think he's going to pardon himself? Do we think he's going to be prosecuted? How screwed is he when he leaves office?
It's, this is a tough one, man, because as tempting as it is to switch to the other side and go lock him up, we cannot turn into the Republicans during this time. I believe just as much as a lot of pundits right now saying he could possibly be prosecuted for negligent manslaughter. I mean, these people knew about the coronavirus, in October of last year, and they didn't do anything. How is that not negligent?
There's a case to be made that like probably going back to Nixon, literally going back to Nixon, like all those presidents were war criminals. Maybe not Carter. Well, I think Carter was after Nixon, and so and I'm not totally against that of going after some presidents for war crimes, but there is a case to be made, and that's why you saw Biden, I think, be like, we're not going to do it because he doesn't want to set that precedent for himself because he's probably going to blow up some kids in these 4 years. Pretty safe to say with drones.
Well, no, and that's it's interesting because especially with like the Russia investigation, you had. How can I not remember his name?
Mueller.
Mueller came out and basically said like if he was not in office, I would prosecute him. So is he gonna preemptively pardon himself? Is he going to resign from the presidency and Pence will pardon him? And irrespective of all of this, what is the Southern District of New York going to do? I mean, there's going to be some sort of prosecution for financial crimes there, especially relating to the Trump org and all of his, charities that he's laundered money from and all this other stuff. I mean, at what point is the buck just going to stop and he's going to end up in prison?
You know those 3,500 pages for the bill, for the relief bill that's about to pass? Mm-hmm. And the CARES Act that was just as long, and all these omnibus bills that are thousands of pages, and the tax code, which I think is like 80,000 pages or something ridiculous like that. That's why Trump's able to kind of do those things that we're calling cheating and lying. But if you think that he didn't go through like 10 layers of accountants and lawyers, probably, because you also got to think there's also the what's it called, where you can't prosecute someone in the past, like the, you know what I'm talking about?
Statute of limitations?
Statute of limitations, yeah. And so, like, the statute of limitations, he was already kind of a political candidate, because it's probably like 10 years for tax crimes.
He might
I doubt he
just
did anything
be that
crazy.
Dumb. He might
He's not
just
dumb,
be
but he
that
has
dumb.
so many people around him.
Yeah, like Rudy Giuliani. I mean, it could be pretty dumb.
He had some good ones
Could be
We'll
pretty
see.
back
dumb.
in the day.
He had, a few.
Yeah,
He's gone
but once
through
again,
Michael Cohen.
but the IRS has shown, and the FBI have shown back in the day, this is America. You could sue anyone from anyone, anything, and you can go after anyone for anything. So they can go after him if they want to, especially the Southern District of New York. They're not fans.
We could also see one of these guys, flip on Trump for a lighter sentence.
Because he'll pardon them right now.
Also could happen.
Michael Flynn, he already got the pardon. But I don't think I think that was BS, Michael Flynn. I don't think he did anything wrong.
Well, okay, this is like completely different. Did you hear Michael Flynn basically come out yesterday or the day before? So this would have been a few days now that you were on Showtime, basically saying, oh, well, if you really wanted to, you could go into battleground swing states and bring the military with you and rerun the elections. Somebody, why do they give these people airtime? Why? It's absolutely absurd. Other people going, oh, well, we're going to implement martial law. Martial law has been implemented 67 times in this country, and, we can implement martial law and make sure Trump is president. Guys.
Just to play devil's advocate,
sorry,
or angel's advocate.
Lost.
No, but Matt, let's say we had smoking gun evidence. You have Camilla Harris in a Kinko's, copying a ballot. Huge if. So smoking gun. What should we do? So let's say just beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, I don't want to play.
Well, but I think it would have been found by now.
It's not conspiracy theory. I'm saying what if, the next time, in the future.
It would have been found. That's the thing is, if there
I'm
was
saying
any,
in the future, somehow next election.
we find out later on.
Yeah,
if it happens, then we should.
Not do re-election.
That's the thing is the integrity of the elections is paramount. If there is any level of cheating, it should be addressed.
Voting. Yeah. But the problem with electronic voting here's the problem with electronic voting is if there was cheating, it'd be impossible to kind of irreverse it and find out. You can't prove who you voted for if you voted electronically, and that's a problem. So moving forward, we gotta end that crap. And it is what it is. Trump did not
only
prove the
on
case
your
so
iPhone.
far. Do not. People are arguing for that right now. Just come on. Paper and pencil, cursive, old school. I want you to shake
hanging
the
Chad.
judge in the hand afterwards, look them in the eyes. Yeah, tell them they're a good person.
All right, so let's just forget all 300 million people.
Church cursive in school anymore.
We put 300 million people in Texas. You draw a line down the middle of Texas, and you say, all right, if you want the left to win, go over on this side. If you want the right to win, go on this side. And then you just count your 100 million people. No?
I think we should do tug
Bad
of war.
idea. Not going to work.
How about tug of war? Tug of war. And then you get to decide what side you're on.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts for today?
God help us.
God help us. God help us.
Everyone. Right?
I was about to say happy. I'm just gonna stay out of that battle. So my last thought is I haven't been sending holiday emails or letters out because I'm gonna save till New Year's because New Year's is less controversial. I'm just not trying to anger anyone. They're you didn't say Merry Christmas. Yeah. You said Merry Christmas. You didn't. And I'm all right. Just go wait till New Year's. I wish you a happy
How about
New
this?
Year's.
Thank God 2020 is almost over.
Thank God. Two liberals out here talking about God as much.
Almost over.
We don't know what next year has in planned.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Spiders.
But next year's going to be my year.
Spiders.
Sorry, that was a Valley Girl. It didn't work out very well.
Anyways. Someone go shoot. Yeah.
Someone go shoot me. Take him out.
Yeah, anybody says
put me out of my misery.
Come here. I want to have a word with you. You just come here.
Well, if you want to increase your chances, you got to like and subscribe to the show. That's the
yes,
only
you
way.
Do. We're just we're upping our view count every week. Pretty soon, we're going to be that 9-year-old kid that just made $30 million on YouTube. Anyways, thank you all so much. Like and subscribe down below. 5 years from now, we're going to be... No, the kid, whatever the little kid, the kid's world, he made $30 million.
Money. They all are. And Ninja, he's in my area a little bit. I know he lives in the Chicagoland.
$30 million. That means that kid in the last 3 years has made $60 million. He is 9 years old, and he's made $60 million on YouTube.
Probably spent it all on
$60 million. You're kidding me. Anyways, thank you all very much. Happy holidays. Everybody, please stay safe, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.